हरे कृष्ण। ओम ज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. So I thought today we'll have some discussion. Tomorrow we'll skip uh, because I'm taking a long break between. So I thought I'll cover the syllabus. So we'll see. This is also a very interesting chapter. We'll try to cover some verses from this. This is why this chapter is important, because the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is Adhikara Tattva. Adhikara Tattva means what is the qualification to hear Bhagavatam. So this is actually this is the first aspect. So we have to, this is what is the qualification, because whole first canto is telling this is where you have to prepare yourself, this is how you should be, so that you will be able to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, which Sukadeva Goswami is going to speak from second canto. First canto is important, it is also giving so many of the important concepts that are clear, but along with that it is giving the Adhikara Tattva, the qualification. And now why other chapters were given, like about Bhishma Dev is there, Kunti Maharani is there, and then future we'll have next Dhritarashtra and how Pandavas are going to live. All these things are told so that to know in what lineage Parikshit Maharaj is coming, what is his greatest qualification, what type of person he is, from which fruit, which tree is coming. But to explain that, so many chapters are given in detail, and also from now onwards they all have to go back to what it, so that Parikshit Maharaj can enter into the field. That is also another thing. Parikshit Maharaj will get opportunity to rule when he sees that okay, others are no like that. So this is one way to understand. Because today's I didn't want to take much, but because of syllabus I am taking, just don't. So please don't mind. Sisanukovacha Ashwattham Shishtena Brahmashishnoru Tejasa Uttaraya Hato Garbha Ihena Jivita Punaha. Say Saunaka said, the womb of Uttara, mother of Parikshit Maharaj, was spoiled by the dreadful and invincible Brahmastra weapon released by Ashwatthama, but Maharaj Parikshit was saved by the Supreme Lord. We can discuss on why to do Nirjala, we can discuss on importance Ekadasi, but I am not doing maybe some other Ekadasi, we can discuss why it is important to do Ekadasi and how it benefits. We can have some discussion on it. There are many topics are there for us. A whole life we can fully discuss all the topics and complete our life like that. Anyway, we have here some topics, because within Bhagavatam only we have so many commentaries of acharyas. Like in the afternoon, we have Sanatan Goswami's commentary on 10th canto. We have so many acharyas like that, so many books. One lifetime is not sufficient. No problem. The sages assembled in the forest of Naimshara and inquired from Sutta Goswami about birth of Maharaj. So what happened is, Sutta Goswami, he got detold. He started explaining about Krishna, he left Hastinapur, he went to Dwaraka. Then Savanka Rishis are bringing him. Wait a minute. You want to know about Parikshit, because Bhagavatam appeared because of Parikshit. Na? So Sutta Goswami went into ecstasy and he started telling about Krishna. That is also important, but he was just going on telling about Krishna went to Dwarka and all. They are bringing this. These two chapters are little detour. And here, but so this is what The sages assembled in the forest of Namshar and inquired from Suda Goswami about birth of Maharaj. But in the course of narration about topics like the release of Brahmastra by the son of Drona, his punishment by Arjuna and Kunti's prayer, the Pandavas visited the place where Bhishmadev was lying, his prayers, and thereafter Lord's departure for Dwarka were discussed. His arrival at Dwarka and residing with the 16,000 queens, etc., was narrated. The sages was absorbed in hearing such description, but now they wanted to turn the original topic, and thus the inquiry was made by Saunaka Rishi. So the subject of the release of Brahmastra weapon by Ashwatthama is rewarded. So Prabhupada is telling even Kunti's prayer and Vishnu's prayer also a detour. He is telling all because but they want to hear it. But that was important. So Sutta Goswami he explained it because it is going to tell the glories of the lineage. That's it. Tasya janma mahabuddhe karmani cha mahatmanah nidhanam cha yataivaste vasi sapretya Katavanyata. How was the great Emperor Parikshit, who was highly intelligent and great devotee, born in the tomb? How did his death take place and what did he achieve after his death? These are the further questions here. So this is all connected to Parikshit only, which will continue till 19th chapter. The king of Hastinapur, now Delhi, used to be the emperor of the world, at least till the time of son of Emperor Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was saved by the Lord in the womb of his mother, so he could certainly be saved from an untimely death due to the ill will of the son of a Brahmana. Because the sage of Kali began to act just after the assumption of power by Maharaj Parikshit, the first sign of misgiving was exhibited in cursing of such a greatly intelligent and devoted king as Maharaj Parikshit. The king is the protector of the helpless citizens and their welfare, peace and prosperity depend on him. Unfortunately, by the instigation of the fallen age of Kali, an unfortunate Brahmana son was employed to condemn the innocent Maharaj Parikshit, and so the king had to prepare himself for death within 7 days. History will ever record this unfortunate incident of how the great king was killed by unkind instigative of a fallen son of a Brahmana. Maharaj Parikshit is especially famous as one who is protected by Vishnu. He is called Vishnurat. And when he was unduly cursed by a Brahmana son, he could have invoked the mercy of Lord to save him, but he did not want to because he was a pure devotee. A pure devotee never asked the Lord for any undue favor. Maharaj Parikshit knew that the curse of the Brahmana son upon him was unjustified as everyone else knew, but he did not want to contract it because he knew such also that the age of Kali has begun and that the future first symptom of the age, namely degradation of highly talented Brahmana community, has also begun. He did not want to interfere with the current of the time, but he prepared himself to meet death very cheerfully and very properly. Being fortunate, he got at least 7 days to prepare himself to meet death, and so he properly utilized the time in association of Sukadeva Goswami, the great saint and devotee of the Lord. So this is the point. Prabhupada is very nicely summarizing whole of Parikshit. Not only he is unduly cursed, but what the main reason is Parikshit Maharaj is preparing for the for his death because he knows that this is the age of Kali and Kali has to come. He tried whenever he's there. Now he thought, okay, now and the curse is from Brahmanas. The degradation starts from the head, Brahmanas. They got corrupted. Now we don't find that quality of Brahmana. They may chant some mantras, but they're only what do you call they're ritualistic Brahmanas. They're not the Brahmanas of Vedic style. Very, very hardly you'll find some Brahmanas of that quality. Because this is the influence of Kali. And in Padma Purana also we have stories where some demons come in Kali Yuga as Brahmanas. They take birth in Brahmanas. And there are many other incidences that happen in history where people who are of that quality, they were destroyed. Many Brahmanas were killed when the invaders came to India. In Srirangam, many Vaishnavas, Brahmanas were killed. Because what happened is, there are, this is the explanation given by Acharyas, Vaishnavacharyas, that they had a great desire to destroy all these good Vaishnavas and Brahmanas. The demons had a great desire and they went and did tapasya. They do tapasya also. Demons also do tapasya, right? And when they did tapasya to fulfill their desire, Lord arranged such situations where in Srirangam in one day 20,000 Vaishnavas were slaughtered. Like that, many people, many people were slaughtered like that across the country. Many Brahmanas were killed. Why? Because Lord also fulfills the desire of demons. And these Vaishnavas, Lord will take them to spiritual world. In one way, Vaishnavas, even if he live, Jiva Marova, or in living or dead, it is same only. What is real protection is protection of the faith that we all know. We say Lord is protecting means he is not just protecting external body, he is also protecting the faith of living entities, and that is much more important protection than just external body. And here Krishna is also protecting because Maharaj Parikshit, his consciousness was so much elevated. Not only that, because of that level of consciousness, he could attract, and Krishna only arranged, of a very high quality personality like Sukadeva Goswami. And both of their combination, Srimad Bhagavata appeared, which is the protection for all the people in the age of Kali, in that way. And this is the master plan of Krishna. He knows how to arrange a situation, how to glorify and how to protect. He knows anyway Kali is coming and he wanted to protect the citizens of India. Kalo nashta drishamesham puranartho. So there are three main themes. First is about the qualification of hearer and speaker. Second is appearance of Bhagavatam. And third is Kali Yuga. So these are the three important topics of first canto. And along with that, there are three storylines. One is the storyline of Narada and Vyasadeva. Another storyline is the storyline of Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami. And this is three conversations, and then Vyasudha Goswami and Saunaka like that. So this is how we can remember first canto. And along with that, we have to remember two important sections: Kunti Maharani's prayers and Bhishmadev prayers. Of course, Arjuna's some very important shlokas we have to remember, where Arjuna is going to speak about Krishna in the next chapter. And also one important is the second chapter, where we have to remember third chapter. Fifth chapter shlokas of Narada. Like that, we can overall keep a logical setup in our brain about first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Here, Tadidam Shrotum Ichchamo Gaditum Yadi Manyase Bruhina Shraddadhanana Yasya Jnana Ada Chukana. We all respectfully want to hear about him, Maharaj Parikshit, to whom Sukadeva Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge. Please speak on this matter. You are speaking Krishna in Dwarka with the queens. That's okay, but we want to start with Parikshit. Sukadeva Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge to Maharaj Parikshit during the remaining 7 days of his life, and Maharaj Parikshit heard him properly, just like an ardent student. The effect of such bona fide hearing and chanting of Srimad Bhagavatam was equally shared by both the hearer and the chanter. Both of them were benefited. Out of the 9 different transcendental means of devotional service to the Lord prescribed in Bhagavatam, neither all of them, or some of them, or even one of them are especially beneficial if properly discharged. It is said that if somebody comes in contact with any of the 5 most potent limbs of bhakti, then he can achieve bhava, a sthayi roop, not just some glimpse. He can achieve bhava. Because people commit offenses, that's the reason they are not able to get that. When we are chanting holy name, we commit offenses. Otherwise, just chant one mantra, you can attain bhava. That is the potency of this mantras. Also, another important is all these all these what is it, different aspects of devotional service. They're important to help us develop the mood. This is very important. We all need to understand that these are all things help us to develop the mood. And another important is we are all absorbed in matter. And now we have to remove the absorption in matter, our meditation on matter, and keep that meditation on Krishna. That absorption we can remove from matter by meditating on Krishna. So slowly it will still. As long as we are meditating or absorbed in matter, we will remain unhappy. So very tragic situation. Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami were serious performance of first two important items, namely the process of chanting and the process of hearing. Therefore, both of them were successful in their laudable attempts. Transcendental realization is attained by such serious hearing and chanting and not otherwise. There is a type of spiritual master and disciple. There is a type of spiritual master and disciple much advertised in this age of Kali. It is said that the master injects spiritual force into the disciple by an electric current generated by master, and the disciple began to feel the shock. He becomes unconscious, and the master weeps for his exhausting his store of so-called spiritual assets. So this is a story Ramakrishna Varansa. Ramakrishna Varansa gives that electric shock to Vivekananda, and then he laments, "Oh, I lost all my." Such bogus advertisement is going on in this age, and the poor common man is becoming the victim of such advertisements. And we can see also who are just doing some gimmick magic, and I have seen these videos about the famous Baba who is visiting here, there in India, and lakhs of people are coming. I saw the video. What I understood is he can read the mind. If you keep a person in front of him, he has a talent of reading mind. And he makes a very nice dramatic presentation of it. He can make so many statements in it, and it's quite obvious that what all he makes is not good. But one thing is that he can read the mind. As soon as he sees the person, immediately he can sense that aspect. And people are so foolish. They're so they really don't want to use intelligence. They just want anything cheap and very fast. And they say, okay, this person is, and because I know what is the point in even astrology and all is why people go there, because everybody can predict the past, what happened to you. Nobody can tell the future. That is not possible unless you have really done some very good tapasya and you are a very good astrologer, then you'll be able to tell the future. Otherwise, most of the astrologers, they can never tell what is future. They can tell past. And what happens is, if a person hear past, and you come to me and I tell you what is your past, without even you are telling me, immediately faith comes. Bob, he knows everything. I didn't even tell also. That means you'll know my future. Then people say, yeah, please solve my problem and make me happy in the future. And even the person who is speaking, he himself don't know his future. This is the state of affairs. Anyway, but the people are so much into externals that they don't want real knowledge. Prabhupada writes, we do not find such flop tales in the dealings of Sukadeva Goswami and his great disciple Maharaj Parikshit. The sage recited Srimad Bhagavatam in devotion. The great king heard him properly. The king did not feel any shock of electric current from the master, nor did he become unconscious while receiving knowledge from the master. One should not therefore become a victim of these unauthorized advertisements made by such bogus representatives of Vedic knowledge. The sages of Naimisharanya were very respectful in hearing about Maharaj Parikshit because of his receiving knowledge from Sukadeva Goswami by means of ardent hearing. Ardent hearing from the bona fide master is the only way to receive transcendental knowledge, and there is no need for medical performance or uh, occult mysticism for miraculous effect. The process is simple, but only the sincere party can achieve the report. So this is the point. Only a sincere person can achieve. Otherwise, it's all very superficial, and people are attracted also because they are getting cheap. They write, okay, I have this problem, I have that problem. Lakhs of people write letters to him to get solved from their problems. Yeah, in 11th canto, Lord explains there are many siddhis and they're all Why it is stumbling block? Because it keeps a person in illusion. That is why it is stumbling block. Like say, now if I have a siddhi of reading the mind of people or helping somebody cure at least some sort of disease, then no, I will not definitely 100% should not be giving Bhagavatam, because in front of my place at least 100 to 200 are based on my power. Thousands of people will be waiting for me to get their problems solved, and with all my mystic power, I'll be doing it to become very famous. Now I don't have. It's such a blessing. I can sit and discuss Bhagavad with all of you. So this is the very important understanding we need to have. Why Krishna does not give opulences or siddhi to devotees? Sometimes we feel that Krishna could have given some siddhi so that we can do so much preaching. We'll never do preaching if we get siddhi. And that is the reason Acharyas also never, even though they have siddhis, they never utilize it because people will be attracted to siddhi. That is the problem. And it is a great protection in many ways to not to have big talents. And now we'll just continue. Suta Vacha Apiplada Dharmaraja Pitruvat Rajyam Praja Nisprasha Sarva Kamebhya Krishna Padanu Sevaya. Now, before telling about Maharaj Parikshit, Suta Goswami tells about the ruling of Yudhishthir Maharaj and how generously he rules. Sutta Goswami said, Emperor Yudhishthir administered generously to everyone during his reign. He was exactly like a father. He had no personal ambitions and was free from all sorts of sense gratification because of his continuous service onto the lotus feet of the Lord. As mentioned in our introduction, there is a need for a science of Krishna and human society for all the suffering humanity of the world, and we simply request the leading personalities of all nations to take to the science of Krishna for their own good, for the good of society, and for the good of all people of the world. So it is confirmed hearing by the example of Maharaj Yudhishthir, the personality of goodness. In India, the people hanker after Ramraj because the personality of Godhead was the ideal king, and all other kings or emperors in India controlled the destiny of the world by the for the prosperity of every living being who took birth on earth. Herein the word praja is significant. The etymological import of the word is that which is born. On that there are many species of life from the aquatics up to the perfect human beings, and all are known as praja. Lord Brahma, the creator of this particular universe, is known as Prajapati because he is the grandfather of all who have taken birth. Thus, praja is used in a broader sense that it is not now. The king is meant to protect all living beings, namely the aquatics, plants, trees, reptiles, birds, animals, and men. Every one of them is a part and parcel of Supreme Lord. This is a very important understanding how Vedic culture, everything was accepted as a person, and people were able to relate to it and deal with it. Even the material nature is also dealt in a personal way. If you deal everything in a personal way, then what happens is we'll be able to we'll be able to develop that softness in heart, which is very much needed for practicing. Like there is a story. One time, one traveler was going in China. He was a intelligent person, and he saw one farmer. He was taking water from a pond and he is going till his field and dropping it. And then he was asked. Then this person said he saw he was working so hard to get the water there, get the water there. This is some thousands of years back, maybe 3,000 years or something. And then this person, he suggests to the farmer, "Arey, why are you going all the time lifting the water and pouring into it, and then the water is going? Why don't you do one thing? You make a wheel and you put some vessels on it, and then you rotate, and then you'll, in a mechanical system, you can produce more water and you can release, and you'll be able to get more water in less time, and you can do it nicely." Then this person says, "No, if I use machines, I'll become mechanical, and then what happens is my heart will get contaminated, and I start dealing with the people mechanically. I'll not be able to relate to people properly, and in that way, I will become unhappy. My heart is contaminated. I'll also deal with mechanically people. I'll be unhappy." This is a very important lesson. More we utilize machines, we become mechanical. Our heart is becoming more and more contaminated. Previously, it is not a car. Previously, it is a horse or a bullock cart. Now you have to deal with as a person. If the horse is not interested to move, you cannot do anything. You have to have good relation, convince him, okay, chalo baba, let us go. And then say, okay, let us go. But for a car, you start, you can kick, and then whatever you do with the car, you will not say anything. Because it's not. And now what happens? Because so much of dealing with all these things, every uh, we can discuss this very elaborately, but I'm just giving briefly why. Because in Vedic culture, this is actually one of the very important aspect, that everything was dealt with a person, like a person, and even animals also. That's why they can see the difference between animals, living entity, non-living entity, and they used to give that respect. Now, what happened is, now people don't see that, and they think, okay, they are meant for my eating, and they mercilessly they slaughter all the animals and they kill them and they eat. This is actually what is happening in the present scenario. But Vedic culture was very nice. Now it is not possible to restore. Better is chant Hare Krishna and do. And the king, being the representative of the Supreme Lord, is duty bound to give proper protection to every one of them. This is not the case with the presidents and dictators of this demoralized system of administration, where the lower animals are given no protection while the higher animals are given so-called protection. But this is a great science which can be learnt only by one who know the science of Krishna. By knowing the science of Krishna, one can become the most perfect man in the world, and unless one has knowledge in this science, all qualifications and doctorates, diplomas acquired by academic education are spoiled and useless. Because, like, if a person becomes Krishna conscious, he is more responsible also. This is very important, and people think, okay, I just have to give up everything. That is Krishna consciousness. No need to follow any rules. Only Krishna. It is not like that. If we become Krishna conscious, we become conscious of everything that is happening, because we are consciousness, then we are consciousness, we'll be able to do it nicely. Any responsibility they take about the house, about their job, or about their work, and other activities at home, they're very responsible person because they're conscious. As soon as we become conscious, we try to do it nicely. You are neat and clean, you are punctual, you are respectful to people, you understand about animals. At least you put some water outside for the birds, give some food to the dogs, feed some animals around who are staying. We have to even the the living entities, lizards are there, will not feed them. But you should know they are also living entities, and we should not be envious of any living entities. People they see lizard or some other animal, they try to kill them. They're envious. They say, how come in my house such animal is? Don't be envious. They are also poor living entities, and they're all connected to Krishna. We should be, if you are seeing weekly once, you try to give something to the dogs or cats or birds. Something we should be consciously doing, because they're all living entities, and Lord is giving to us, and we have that responsibility to do. We are not kings, but we have our house is our kingdom. So whatever is there around our kingdom, it should be taken care a little bit at least. We should give some charity regularly, some prasadam distribution. Very, very helpful to for us only to get out of this bondage. It is not benefiting them. We are benefiting ourselves, being conscious and compassionate. Maharaj knew the science of Krishna very well, for it is stated here that by continuous cultivation of this science or by continuous devotional service to Lord Krishna, he acquired the qualification to administer the state like a father. The father is sometimes seemingly cruel to the sons, but that does not mean that the father has lost the qualification to be a father. A father is always father because he's always has the good of son at heart. The father wants every one of his sons to become a better man than himself. Therefore, a king like Maharaj Yudhishthir, who was the personality of goodness, wanted everyone under his administration, especially human beings who had better developed consciousness, to become devotees of Lord Krishna, so that everyone can become free from the trifles of material existence. His motive of administration was all good for the citizens, for as personified goodness, he knew perfectly well what is actually good for them. He conducted the administration of that principle and not of the Rakshasi demonic principles of sense gratification. Now, this is another uh, aspect of modern administration. They want people to enjoy nicely. They give so many facilities, and then if the facilities are more, they are next time elected. As an ideal king, he had no personal ambition. This is another point. Even in your house also, if you don't have personal ambitions, you will be able to take care of house very nicely without much anxiety. If we have our own ambitions, then only we try to push our ambitions on the people below us. We think this is the right thing and everybody should do like this. And there is no place for sense gratification, because all his senses at all times were engaged in the loving service of the Supreme Lord, which includes the partial service to the living beings, who from the part and parcel of the complete whole. That is another point. If you are not connecting to Krishna and serving, will not get any spiritual benefit. That is why all the living entities, we have to serve anybody in relation to Krishna. Then only it is devotional service. Both will get benefited. Those who are busy rendering service to the part and parcel, living aside the whole, only spoil time and energy, as one does when watering the leaves of a tree without watering the root. If water is poured at the root, the leaves are enlivened perfectly and automatically. But if the water is poured on the leaves only, the whole energy is spoiled. Maharaj Yudhishthira therefore was constantly engaged in the service of Lord, and thus the part and parcel of Lord, the living being, under his careful administration, were perfectly attended with all comforts in this life and progress in the next. This is the way of perfect management of state administration. So giving Prabhupada is giving such wonderful golden purports. Sampada katavo loka mahishi bharato mahi jambu dipadipatyam cha yashascha tridivam gatam. News even reached the celestial planets about Maharaj Yudhishthir's worldly position, the sacrifices by which he would attain a better destination. His queen, his stalwart brothers, his extensive land, his sovereignty over the planet Earth, and his fame, etc. Only a rich and great man's name and fame were known all over the world. The name and fame of Maharaj used to reach the highest planets because of his good administration, worldly positions, glorious wife Draupadi, the strength of his brothers Bhima and Arjuna, and his solid sovereign power over the world known as Jambudvipa. Here, the word loka is significant. There are different lokas and higher planets scattered all over the sky, both material and spiritual. A person can reach them by dint of his work and in the present life, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. No forceful entrance is allowed there. The tiny material scientists, the engineers who have discovered vessels to travel over a few thousand miles is in over space will not be allowed entrance. That is not the way to reach the better planets. One must qualify himself to enter into such higher planets by sacrifice and service. Those who are sinful in every step of life can expect only to be degraded into animal life to suffer more and more pangs of material existence. This is also stated in Bhagavad Gita. Maharaj Yudhishthir's good sacrifice and qualifications are so lofty and virtuous that even the residents of higher celestial planets are already prepared to receive him as one of them. This is very important. Prabhupada, he is very expert in presenting in a very, very simple way. That is Prabhupada's speciality. Same talk, if I get, I may make it very complicated. But Prabhupada, so I feel Prabhupada knows so much, but still he is able to present in a simple way. And especially if you know so much, like last week I took a class on the second chapter for I take every Sunday to corporate. I took such a complicated, just first part only. It is not the Dharma Yoga part. This is where Arjuna surrenders, 7th, 8th, 9th shloka. And I made it so complicated. I thought Prabhupada explained so simple and we can complicate things. Because if you know many things, that is sometimes I was here, no, 2, 3 things I know about this. Then when you present, it is complicated because you have to cover. And Prabhupada is never tempted to show his talent. This is a tendency is there that, okay, I know I want to tell everything, but Prabhupada has to control it is very, very special. Kim te kama surap sparaha mukunda manaso dvija adhirahu mudam prajna Itasya yatindriyaha. O Brahmanas, the opulence of king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except Lord's service. I am just trying to take because we were then will not have much tension with syllabus. Of course, I didn't give much homework. Means I don't want to give all the time much homework. As much as possible. This chapter is 36 verses, so we can try to cover whatever little bit, and then when I take break also. There are 2 things. Maybe we can do this 1-2 purports and then we'll end. And good, we are hearing directly from Prabhupada. There are 2 things in the world which can satisfy living. When one is materially engrossed, is satisfied only by sense gratification. This is actually one of the topic I wanted to take. Satisfaction of mind and satisfaction of heart. What is the difference? And you already heard some of the things, and today I was meditating on it. I thought this topic we should have one discussion, maybe sometime in future. But and somehow this is giving the purport, but I'll not touch it with. When one is engrossed, he is satisfied only by sense gratification. But when one is liberated from the conditions of material modes, he is satisfied only by rendering service for the satisfaction of the Lord. This means that the living being is constantly a servitor, not so who is served. Being illusioned by the conditions of eternal energy or falsely thinking himself to be the served, but actually is not served, is servant of the senses like lust, desire, anger, avarice, pride, madness, and intolerance. When one is in his proper senses by attainment of spiritual knowledge, he realizes that he is not the master of the material world, but is only a servant of the senses. At that time, he begs for the service of the Lord and thus becomes happy without being illusioned by so-called material happiness. Maharaj Yudhishthir was one of the liberated souls, and therefore for him there was no pleasure in a vast kingdom. Good wife, obedient brothers, happy subjects, and prosperous world. These blessings automatically follow for a pure devotee, even though the devotee does not aspire for it. The example set herein is exactly suitable. It is said that one who is hungry is never satisfied by anything other than food. Today's Nijilaka, this is to hear so much of food is not good. Proper right. The whole material world is full of hungry living beings. The hunger is not for good food, shelter or sense gratification. The hunger is for the spiritual atmosphere. Due to ignorance only, they think that the world is dissatisfied because there is no sufficient food, shelter, defense, and objects of sense gratification. The so-called illusion, when the living being is hungry for spiritual satisfaction, he is misrepresented by material hunger. But the foolish leaders cannot see that even people who are most sumptuously materially satisfied are still hungry. And what is their hunger and poverty? The hunger is actually for spiritual food, spiritual shelter, spiritual defense, and spiritual sense gratification. Those who can be these can be obtained in the association of the Supreme Spirit, Lord Sri Krishna. And therefore, one who had them cannot be attracted by the so-called food, shelter, and defense and sense gratification of material world. And even if they are realized by the denizens of heavenly planet, therefore in the Bhagavad Gita it is said by the Lord that even in the topmost planet of the universe, namely the Brahmaloka, where the duration of life is multiplied by millions of years by earth calculation, one cannot satisfy its hunger. Such hunger of Lord Mukunda, the Lord who awards his devotees the transcendental pleasure of liberation. So much about hunger. Today we are reading. So all our hunger we can meditate on this. Oh, actually I'm not hungry for food. I'm hungry for Krishna. This is what we should meditate today. मातृगर्भगतो वीर सदा गुरुगुनन्दन ददृश पुरुषं चिद्धयमानो अस्त्र तेजसा. Now is this is that's the main important section of this chapter is starting now. O son of Bhrigu Saunaka, when the child Parikshit, the great fighter, was in the womb of his mother Uttara and was suffering from the burning heat of Brahmastra thrown by Shuddhama, he could observe the Supreme Lord coming to him. So we'll just do two shlokas and then we'll end. Death generally involves remaining in trance for 7 months. A living being, according to his own actions, is allowed to enter into the womb of a mother by vehicle of father's semen, and thus he develops his desire. This is the law of birth in specific bodies according to one's past karma. When he is awake from trance, he feels the inconvenience of being confined within the womb, and thus he wants to come out of it. And sometimes, fortunately, prayers prays to the Supreme Lord for such liberation. Maharaj Parikshit, while in the womb of his mother, was struck by the Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama, and he was feeling the burning heat. But because he was a devotee of the Lord at once appeared herein himself within the womb by his all-powerful energy, and the child could see that someone else had come to save him. Even in the helpless condition, the child Parikshit endured the unbearable temperature due to his being a great fighter by nature. And for this reason, the word Veera has been used. So I will end and I wish you all happy. Oh, this is only one line. We'll read this. Angushtamatram amalam spruhat purtamaulinam apiyam darshanam shamam tadi tadi vasasam chuta. So this is many devotees learn this shloka by heart. He, the Lord, was only thumb height, but he was all transcendental. He had very beautiful, blackish, infallible body, and he wore a dress of lightning yellow and a helmet of blazing gold. Thus, he was seen by the child. Okay, thank you all very much. Um, happy Chilekadasi. Wish all the best for all of you. This Ekadasi, basically, Bhima, he didn't had a much capacity to practice Ekadasi. So for him, Krishna gave concession. He said, okay, just one this Ekadasi you do, and all will be taken care. And then it became easy for Bhima. That is the story they tell. And if we are doing so many Ekadasis and sometimes we miss the parna time or you commit some mistake, somebody by mistake they ate some grains, then they say, okay, you do Nirjala Ekadasi and all the offenses of other Ekadasis are nullified like that. This is another reason they give. And what exactly Ekadasi that we can discuss elaborately some other time. But every 15 days doing Ekadasi means it is Nirjal only. But whole year people cannot do, especially now in Kali Yuga, our bodies don't cooperate. So we at least do for one day and then we try to uh, tomorrow, because everybody is fasting today Nirjala, and tomorrow by the time they have to break the fast, and I don't think they'll have the capacity to hear class. At least today and tomorrow I thought, but because I'm very less time for syllabus, that's why I'm taking today. But otherwise tomorrow definitely will not have. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.